As we enter Summer Night Lights season, I want to take a minute to tell you where this work originated. As a former PA at LA County General Hospital, I witnessed one of the darkest chapters in Los Angeles history. Every day, I treated people experiencing addiction, violence, and trauma. But in South LA, entire communities were being devastated. You remember what COVID felt like in the beginning when people were dying? That's how it felt in South LA. Gun violence and AIDS collided along with crack cocaine, yet the response of society's leaders was only on one strategy: arrest and incarcerate. I believe deeply that there was another way, and it was a comprehensive approach. And that way begins with preventing drug addiction and violence and gang involvement in the first place. We needed to look at root causes. So in those years, I gathered a group of activists and I founded the Community Coalition. We began by knocking on doors, we listened, and the people living through the crisis helped design the solutions. They taught us that violence wasn't random, it really increased during specific times, especially during the summer, in the evening when young people had nowhere to go and nothing to do. So instead of waiting for violence to happen, we pioneered a program that we called Summer of Success. We created it late at night in parks. We wanted to create a safe place where families and young people could come together. The city, under the leadership of Mayor Villaraigosa, adopted this, and it evolved years later into what is now known as Summer Night Lights. The moment I took office, I listened to the neighborhoods that were disproportionately impacted by violence and crime, and I asked them what they needed to feel safer. So I created the Office of Community Safety. Public safety requires an approach that combines effective law enforcement with prevention, intervention, and civilian crisis response. Working with specific members of the City Council, we've turned that idea into reality. Many times in a neighborhood, there might be an individual that's suffering from addiction, mental health, or homelessness. We are responding to crises differently. You dial 911. The operator will determine whether or not you need an armed law enforcement officer, or if maybe the way to address that problem on your block is actually somebody who's trained in mental health and addiction, and that person gets the help that they actually need. This isn't just about an idea or a vision, it's about action. We hired community violence interventionists, many of whom I've worked with for decades, to strengthen the gang reduction and youth development program. We're creating pathways to recovery and opportunity by expanding reentry and workforce programs, because when people return home from prison, they have access to jobs, housing, and support, and they are less likely to return to a life of crime. And our communities are safer because of it. That's why we're seeing the results. Violent crime is down, homicides are down, but we know the work is still not done. Every Angelino deserves to feel safe where they live, work, learn, and play, and that's what we're fighting for every day. We're expanding Summer Night Lights, which serves more than 100,000 Angelinos every year. If you want to see this vision of public safety in action, I hope you'll visit one of our 42 Summer Night Lights parks. And while you're there, you'll know a little more about the history of how these programs came to life. To learn more about the Office of Community Safety and Summer Night Lights, visit grid.lacity.gov.